GhostBSD reviews, tutorials and gaming.
Before we start, if this is your first time to the channel and you would like to learn more about FreeBSD and the journey to a better desktop and server, then please hit subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. Here we are at the GhostBSD homepage, and I think there's been some changes since the last time I had a look at this. Quite a bit of a design change, things look nice and clean and crisp, which really mirrors the operating system itself. There's been a lot of changes in GhostBSD for the last few releases, and I've been surprised and delighted about just how polished it's become. Here we are, the main download page. It's easy to navigate to. The main release, the official release, is the Mate one, 19.09. There is a community release, which runs XFCE. Although you can install the XFCE into the main one if you wish, which I'll be showing you later. The overall design, like I say, of the website is clean and simple and gets to the point. You can either direct download or a torrent download. Torrent if you can, but direct if you must. There's only 2 mirrors, but we're going to go with the nearest one to me, and we'll download this. 2.4 gigabytes, which is not huge. And if you can donate to the GhostBSD cause, then that's always a welcome thing. I'll be making a donation later. My internet connection is quite fast, but I was only getting a 4.85 maximum speed, which means that a lot of people were hammering the servers. So I thought that I would try the day after, and yep, it's up to 19.6, and that just shows you just how many people. I mean, I think they've got fast servers anywhere, but it just shows you how many people were downloading from them on the release day. So torrent is always the best way to go if you can. It puts less strain on the resources. Right, so I'm going to be doing a demo install using VirtualBox. The actual install itself will be on to the DC5700, which I've shown in previous videos, and that's my main test machine. But to avoid the shaky cam seen in the other videos, and that's until I get a capture device, I'll be going through the steps, which I've done before, in VirtualBox. It's exactly the same. I'll set it exactly the same configuration as I did on the machine. So I'm not doing anything differently. I'll choose UFS, and it's just so you can see what's happening. That basically the install hasn't really changed from one release to another, which is a good thing. To have so no introducing any major changes to upset the balance, as it were. Right, I love this particular screen. I love the fact that you can choose which graphics driver, which GPU driver you really want to use to get to your desktop. I love this. This is fantastic. I, for the 5700, chose the legacy Intel because that was the only one that proved to be stable. But because I'm using VirtualBox, I go down to Start Desktop in VirtualBox, because then that will load the guest editions and all the rest. But yeah, so the legacy install, the legacy Intel for the actual 5700 install, and the VirtualBox one for this demo. I do love this particular option. I think it's brilliant. So 10 out of 10, and kudos to the developers for this. At this point I thought there was an error, so I just left it, and it starts up perfectly fine. Right off the bat, not much has changed. Obviously they changed the wallpaper, but everything else looks the same, which is a good thing. One thing about FreeBSD or FreeBSD based operating systems is that the rate of change is relatively slow. Sometimes the desktops change quite quick. It depends on which desktop you're talking about. Other times it's very small incremental changes. Nomad BSD, they seem to be changing things quite a lot, but that's just, because they're at such an early stage. This is GhostBSD 19.09. By this stage, it's matured into a very workable, very usable operating system in its own right. We're on Mate 1.22.1, and we will install. Again, things are exactly the same. I could just rerun a video from a previous install, and really, you wouldn't notice the difference. The date and time would be different, of course, but everything else is the same. UK, next. Shows the Europe and then London as your time zone. I'm going to choose UFS because it's that's what I chose on the old computer, and also what I tend to use for a desktop anyway. That one, I'll leave them as they are. Leave that as it is because it's the only operating system on there. Super easy to remember password. And exactly the same details as what I put on the main machine, on the test machine. I'll choose SH as a shell. Interesting, it defaults to fish. But I prefer, you get a good choice by the way, but I prefer SH. And then that's it. It really literally is that simple. It's as easy as any Linux distro install that I've seen. It's not convoluted or difficult in any way whatsoever, and once that's done, you'll have a working BSD-based system. And that's one of the beautiful things about GhostBSD. I used to have difficulty in understanding whereabouts it fit in the ecosystem, but now things are a lot clearer. You've got FreeBSD as your base operating system. You've got TrueOS as also a base operating system. You've got GhostBSD, which is based on TrueOS, which is aiming at a very desktop orientated. You've got Nomad BSD, which is portable, also desktop. And then you've got Project Trident, which is more of a workstation. It's a very capable one, but it's more of a workstation, which is also based off TrueOS. Anyway, the install is completed. So for this, I will switch over to the simple screen recorder on the 5700 install. Right, we're on the desktop of the GhostBSD installation on the 5700. Now the thing is, at this point, I've been using it for a good couple of days. I usually give it a week, but I wanted to get this video out. Even after a couple of days, though, I can still make a judgment call on this, and it's been a wonderful operating system to use. I've had no issues, no crashes, no unexpected behavior. We'll have a look at some of the dry statistics first, get them over and with. VMstat3. There's nothing major sticking out. The average memory use is fine. Systems, yeah, it's not too bad. Then again, it's not doing much anyway. If you were doing this on the server, your figures would be all over the place. In input-output statistics, again, not much is happening. The simple screen recorder is the one that's causing most of the activity as it's saving to disk. I really should do this when I'm actually doing something intensive. I'll do that next time. Well, we'll just go into root for a minute, and we'll just do a sysstat IO stat. Again, it's simple screen recorder is making the system tick along. I put these statistics in there for those who wish to actually see these things. I do find them interesting just to see how your system is coping. Both, like I said, I should do it when the system is under load, under pressure. But I like to see them myself. It gives you an indication of just how well the operating system is running, rather than it being a resource hog and using everything up. Right. And finally, that is just, yeah, again, it's not showing much, but just gives you an overall look. Right, that's enough of that. Right, there's the dry statistics out of the way. We'll get on to showing you the system. There's a lot of default applications already installed, but I have added a few. A lot of these are already installed when you first do the system. I have put some games on, not many, but I just wanted to show you how they ran. SuperTux 2. When I showed this previously on an older version of GhostBSD, yeah, it didn't run as smooth as I had hoped it would have done. But strangely, on this new release, maybe they've tweaked something, I have no idea, it runs a lot better, considering it uses the same drivers. And remember, this is an older Intel driver, a legacy one, as it were, on a quite an old system, and yet this runs quite well. So I'm overall pleased by this so far, just by this game alone, which is not bad. I like it. Not that I'm any good at these games, but I'm quite impressed by the performance of the system with this. I mean, true, yes, it's not it's not the most intensive games, but we'll try something else. By the way, it didn't crash. I exited it with Alt F4. We'll try this SuperTux cart. You can guess which character I'm going to be choosing. You see, it's telling me not. It uses OpenGL, so it's asking for 3.3 or better. Because mine's a very old system, it's going to warn me that the graphics quality is going to be lower. I'll put it on novice because I'm no good at driving games. I'll choose that one. No, yeah, I'll have that one. And start it. Yep, there's old beastie driving up. Overall, not too bad. I could lower the quality a little bit more, I think. It's a little bit jerky. Not too bad, though. It's not unplayable. And again, this is a bit more intensive, and on my previous video, it really a lot worse than this. So I think they've tweaked something. And on a better spec machine, this will fly. So far so good. If you want to play games on a BSD system, I didn't even touch Wine and Steam. I mean, they'll work very well. But so far, if you wanted to on a better spec machine, this will absolutely fly for you. So far so good. Right, we'll get into the more serious stuff. Some Office applications, if you want to get some work done. LibreOffice is installed by default. And that's how I've not seen that pop-up screen before. No, so LibreOffice comes pre-installed. There you go, just center that. Make it bigger. Huge text. There you go. So it does come pre-installed, which is a good bonus. I like that. So out of the box, as they say, you can get stuff done. Version 6.3.0.4. Okay. Very good. Next up would be, I'll try a scanner. I'm not going to scan a document because I haven't got one in and I can't find anything offhand. But it found the scanner, which is a Canon LIDE or LIDE 220. Before it wouldn't work. It wouldn't even detect it, so that's an improvement. And considering they're not using FreeBSD Development 13, they're using the 12 branch, which TrueOS stable uses, and it's based off that. There's VLC. So really, I'm quite impressed so far. Really, it's not exactly cutting edge, and yet they've improved it significantly. So if you want some media playing, there's VLC. I didn't install VLC, so it must have been already on the system, which is pretty good. Although I usually tend to use, on my main machine, I use MPlayer, which, you know, I do prefer MPlayer. But VLC is pretty much widely known across both Windows and Linux systems. So I suppose it makes the migration over from Linux a little bit easier if you have all the same kind of tools. Right, what are we next? Should we update the system, see if there's any updates? Update station is it's going to check for security updates. Look, no updates available. The system is up to date, which is no surprise considering it only was released the night before or the day before I did this review. But still, we'll try installing some stuff. The software station is the package manager, as it were. And this is one of the things that impressed me last time I reviewed the GhostBSD, I think 19.04, was just how well this had improved. It was responsive. As you saw there, it came up straight away. It was responsive and quite well stocked, as it were, for there's 31,000 plus packages available, which is not bad. So I'm going to try Linus. I always do this on a full review. I think the last score, I was just looking up as I was doing this, was 55. I think it got a score of 55, did GhostBSD. I've got it zoomed in so you can't see the bottom of the screen. Maybe I should zoom it out, but I like for you to see what's going on. There you go, just drag it up. Let's go into root and Linus. System audit. No, it's Linus audit system. Okay. It's good that he tells you. Alright, okay, don't. I think it's on the latest version of it as well, which is pretty good. I know a lot of people, this is not a definitive measure of security, but it's kind of a good, I tend to use it as a benchmark, you know, as long as you stay to the same benchmarking security program across all the different tests that you do, it gives you an idea. How accurate it is, I don't know, but it's one that I use. Oh look, 57. Not too bad, about the same as before. Not bad at all. There are room for improvements, of course, but then this is a desktop-oriented operating system, so it's there's going to be some trade-offs between usability and security. There always is when it comes to that. I mean, that's why Windows is the way it is, because it's very much a desktop OS. Right, one question that I get asked quite a bit regarding GhostBSD. I mean, you know, they'll say, is there a way to? Someone will ask, is there a way to put KDE on it, or it'll be fantastic if you got KDE Plasma on GhostBSD and not GhostBSD. Oh, goodness me, that was a Freudian slip. GhostBSD, and that's an interesting point. It's not my place to suggest to the developers that they do another spin. I mean, you have a community version of GhostBSD which is XFCE, and maybe a community spin of KDE might be possible if someone. I mean, it's not. I can't do it. But if there's any more, cleverer people than me out there, which there is, they could put together a KDE version of GhostBSD. That'd be brilliant. But anyway, you can install it yourself, and I don't think it's supported in the sense that you're going to have to You're going to have to tweak it or theme it yourself rather than it being like that out of the box, but, you know, we'll see. Right, while it's installing, which is going to take a long time, what we'll do, we'll have a look at the control center, go down a few of the options, and show you a few things. So you've got print settings. That doesn't do anything, even though I've got cup set up. It's probably something I haven't switched on. Software center, update station. You've got displays, keyboards, mouse, power management, sound, proxy, and you've got appearance, main menu, pop-up notifications, screensaver, station tweak, about, assistive, file management. It's all the usual things. The Windows one is interesting because then I disable the compositing window manager because it really was slowing this old machine down. Although it's a double-edged sword because it looks better with the shadows under each window. So I don't know. I'll leave it on. But it does look better. But then it performs a little bit worse. But yeah. The station tweak is just generally if you want to disable some icons, etc., or move them around. This is an interesting one about the menu setup, though. If you go down to each one of these, it will configure the desktop to mimic what's listed. So you got your netbook at the top, which just looks like your normal Mate thing. There's a slightly different look to it, but that's what it looks like. Then you've got your Purity. Not sure. That looks like Windows. Oh, yeah, kind of, almost. Then you got your Classy, which I think looks like, if you can start up, yeah, that's kind of like a Mac. That look. Okay. You got Element. Oh. Again, with the dock bar at the bottom. I don't know what the difference is. Ah, right, okay, with the menu at the top, okay. Then you got Windowy, which is, I like the description, Windowy. Which again looks, yeah, I mean, that's going to be Windows, isn't it? You know, the menu system like that. That doesn't look too bad, actually. And then you've got your Mate Classic one at the top. Of course, doing that destroys your any custom setup you've got. It would be nice if you could save a custom panel setup. Trident does that with Lumina. I'm just, if you could save your own, that would be really nice. But it's no big deal. You can just do it yourself. And various button layout tweaks. So yeah, very good. I've never noticed that before. So whether or not that's been put in, I don't know. Appearance. If you want to change the theme and fonts and colours and backgrounds, etc., if that's your thing. There's not that many themes available. You just basically got dark and light. Your backgrounds. Again, it's not a massive selection. They're pretty classy. I like them. Nature inspired. There isn't really any abstract ones. This is the default one now that comes with the system, so I'll put it back on. And interface tweaks. So, yeah. It's pretty much what you expect in the control center. It's still downloading. Something about KDE, it does take a long time. So what I'm going to do is there anything I've forgotten that I can show? But while it's doing that, while it's still downloading, I'm going to try something. I'm just going to search for MIF TV front end. So I do like watching my MIF TV on the desktop. And I was wondering if I can actually add it onto the install while the install is still going, rather than restarting. Almost like you're queuing it up. Well, you can do. That's pretty cool. So you can, while a large install's going, if you remember something else, you can add that on. Okay. It's being added on, we'll see. Well, I'm just going to try the MIF TV, see if it works. I think it was installed by now. Right, okay, that's good. So we got the, I think the very bit, oh look, Star Trek. Well, I can access the system, that's pretty cool. And it runs quite well. Very good. Right, we're on the desktop of the KDE 5 Plasma, which has been installed on GhostBSD. So yeah, it can be done for all those people that have asked, or have stated that it's a shame that you can't get it on there, because you can. And it looks very good, and it works very well. It would be fantastic if, it would be fantastic if GhostBSD developers would put out a community version or an official version which did Plasma, because they could do a fantastic job in theming it, getting it all nice and smooth and desktop friendly, which it already is, but you know what I mean, put some of that GhostBSD polish on it. But it runs everything well. I think it starts up fantastically. There's Caden live again. Very responsive. And I must say, considering I've heard it's a resource hog, it's not really that bad. There is a little lag there, but that's down to the video drivers. On the hardware rather than the software. But it looks good and it feels great. There's Plasma on here. It really would make a fantastic version of GhostBSD in its own right. I understand that they'd be looking after two main branches of it, and that can be a bit, taxing on the resources if there's not, if there's going to be a problem there. But it's looking good. But like I say, you can install it yourself, so it's not a major thing. Just make that a bit bigger. And just show you I made the text too big now. But it just shows you it's on FreeBSD, well, based on FreeBSD 12 stable, which was then to TrueOS stable and into GhostBSD. So there is a fine heritage there. And you get a lot of the usual installed KDE applications and games. Let's have a look. What have we got? Pac-Man, yeah. You can't go wrong with Pac-Man. Well, you can if you play like I do. Yeah, very good. Bit of a slowdown there. That's okay. Let's have a look at the system resources from the KDE monitor. Of course, simple screen recorder is taking up a large chunk. Yeah, and it's saying it's using 3.8 of 4 gigabytes, which you don't look at the pre-built or the inbuilt system monitors on FreeBSD or FreeBSD base OS as an indicator, because it's geared towards Linux and they manage the memory differently. So if you want a true idea of how much memory is being used, actively being used on a FreeBSD based system, top is the best way. And looking at that, 858 megabytes is actively used. So rather than 3.8, it's just under 1 gig. See, because the inbuilt ones are aggregate, they count everything, even the reserved memory, as being memory that's in use, and can give you a false picture. Done a bit more customizing. We're back on Mate. This is quite a nice, pleasant setup here. I'm not a fan of dark themes. I'm really, I prefer light. But this is nice and relaxing, I suppose. We're using 428 at the moment. Or thereabouts. Not too bad. So in conclusion then, what do I think of GhostBSD 19.09? I like it. I think I've had no issues with it. I've only used it for a couple of days, and I know I tend to like to use an OS for a good week to get a feel of it, but even in this short period of time, I get the feeling it's a very polished operating system. I think that the developers they've taken the time, they've incrementally built it up over time to a point now where it's difficult to add anything else onto it. It's I didn't really test any peripherals on this test. The scanner was detected and worked, and that was one thing. I didn't test a webcam, but I presume it works. I mean, if it picks up the scanner, then the webcam is going to work. Really, they tend to be both tend to use that webcam D or V4L. So if one works, the other usually works. Yeah, brilliant. This is as smooth as any Linux operating system I've seen being used. There's lots of other things I could have tested. I could have tested OBS, Audacity, but I trust that they would also work. It comes to a point, it's strange, isn't it? It comes to a point when an operating system like GhostBSD is so well done, and it doesn't become boring, because that's not the right word, but it becomes not surprising. It's in the same way that Ubuntu, in a way that a lot of people used to criticize the releases of it because they regarded it as being boring because everything just worked. There was no major crashes, no major new features added. Well, in Ubuntu's case, they do tend to add things which you don't need, like systemd and stuff like that, and Unity. But with GhostBSD, they have a tried and true, solid desktop environment. You can add your own, like KDE, if you wish. It would be nice if they did a community spin. I keep saying it's about the third time we've said that, but hint. And yeah, I like it. Is it something I would use? Yeah, it would be. The developers all know what they're doing. They all know the target they're going for. They're not making wild gestures to try and incorporate untested technologies into the OS, like some Linux ones do. But they are all doing what they know what they're doing, and I think the end result is a very polished operating system. GhostBSD is an extremely polished, well put together, professional operating system for the desktop. It can be used at home, in a workplace, for students, to anyone really. You got a word processor out of the box in LibreOffice, and even anything that you haven't got can easily be installed via its package manager, which is a fantastic addition. So overall, I enjoyed using it for a couple of days, and I would highly recommend it. I haven't tested Wi-Fi or anything like that. I will do, because I really do need a new Wi-Fi dongle. The one that I've got no longer works, but I will order one. I'll get one, and then I will do a video on compatibility with all the BSDs for Wi-Fi. Whether or not it detects it out of the box, whether or not it needs to be set up, and if it does need to be set up, how do you set it up? But so far, and what I've seen and what I've used and what I've experienced on this, it's brilliant. So the developers, 10 out of 10, you should be proud of yourselves. Well done. The future is bright with BSDs at the moment. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. If you want to see more videos like this, then hit that like button. And to make sure you don't miss out, please consider subscribing, as this really helps me help you.